Welcome back to the Road Show. This morning in the buzz, people in New York City and in Washington, D.C. are going to find a lot of extra security on the streets this morning because of what is being termed a credible terror threat. The warning is issued as the nation, of course, is preparing to mark 9/11, the 10th year anniversary, and federal officials are investigating a possible al-Qaeda car bomb plot aimed at New York and in Washington, D.C. near the 10th anniversary. Now, the threat originated in Pakistan, and authorities are calling it credible. However, they say it is still unconfirmed. Officials say they're planning to tow any unattended vehicles that are parked near certain buildings and major roadways. Authorities are even more vigilant following the death of Osama bin Laden. Evidence found at his Pakistani compound suggested an interest in attacking the U.S. on the anniversary of September 11th. It's unclear if that idea ever developed into an actual plan, though. In both New York and D.C., 9/11 ceremonies are going to go on as planned, though police, of course, will be on even higher alert now. I mean, do you become anxious when we get to the anniversary of 9/11 with these threats, Patrick?
It crosses my mind, you know. But I don't. It doesn't bog me down. I don't. You know, I'm not having anxiety attacks about it. I mean,
Right.
It's out there. I thought about it. I'm like, wow, it's already been 10 years, that sort of thing. But I don't stop in my tracks and look around and get
We're
nervous.
also lucky, though, because of where we live. I mean,
Right.
we're not in New York and D.C., so I think we have a different perspective maybe than people who are in the heart of it, you know?
Yeah, but you never know. I mean, the reverse of that would be that why wouldn't they not attack some area where you wouldn't expect it?
Well, I think that the anniversary itself is a reminder of the threats to the U.S. Not necessarily that particular day puts people at any more risk than any other day, but I think you're right, Patrick. I think if people wanted to really paralyze this country, you go to like the hometown mall. You stay out of New York City, you go to some random mall in middle America and you set off a bomb.
Where it's least expected.
And here's the problem. I mean, you can't stop crazy.
Right.
I mean, and you don't even need a large-scale operation. If you just have some
One or two people.
one or two people
And it doesn't have
decide
to
that
be
they're going to
somebody-
kill themselves
Yes,
Right.
in honor of whatever, then you can't. I mean, how do you stop them?
And it doesn't have to be somebody from Pakistan. It could be
No.
somebody from,
Absolutely, anywhere.
Springfield.
You know,
it
and
doesn't matter.
The other thing, though, you got to remember, though, is that with this attack, there was heavy symbolism with the day. The symbolism of 9/11 itself, the 11 with the two buildings, they put a lot into the symbolism of that.
But I heard that they didn't really do that. That we all take the symbolism in.
No,
But what
I don't-
I've heard too is that they're not really into anniversaries,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. That's not really how they operate.
I don't know. I still think that there is cause for concern this weekend. I mean, you think about all these people gathered in one place at one time.
Listen, there's always somebody looking for attention, and it doesn't have to be somebody from another country. It could be anybody, it could be any whack job that just wants to be, look at that kid in Arizona that decided to shoot Gabrielle Giffords, I mean.
Oh, right.
I mean, it's just some guy that, I don't know why he did it. He just didn't like the way she believed in things. The weird thing, someone could be listening to what I'm saying right now and say, I don't like what he's saying, and you just never know. I mean, but I don't walk out to my car and look over my shoulder.
It.
I can't. You can't let these people win like this. You
So
can't let it bog you down.
Would you go to, New York City this weekend?
I went to the Super Bowl 2 months after this happened to our country in New Orleans, and I'll never forget it. It was in New Orleans, and it was everything was delayed because of what happened on September 11th, and there were Marines with machine guns standing outside of the Superdome in New Orleans. They had all 4 or 5 living presidents at the time flip the coin. I mean, it couldn't have been more of the epicenter of where another attack could have happened. And I remember people being around there, be like, you know what, because we're going to live our lives and not let this bother us. So
I don't know.
I remember thinking, though, that we would be dealing with these attacks forever. And I never thought we would go 10 years without having another significant attack on our country. And here we are 10 years later, and we've been lucky or we've had a good security. What is it?
I think the threat's always there. I don't think the date of the anniversary has any significance because 5 years, 10 years, 12 years, I don't know. But I think it's always out there, Courtney, and I'm curious to see what people are thinking about it. Are people saying, I'm going to shut it down this weekend and go hide in my basement, or are people going to live their lives as normal?
Not that extreme around here, but it's definitely divided. Our friends on Facebook are a little anxious, and then we have a couple of people on the live blog who are just saying, it's another day. on the calendar. So here are some of the comments on foxprovidence.com. Jerry said, I feel as safe as I've ever been before 9/11. And then Joe B says, not much has changed for him in 10 years in terms of security for him and his family. And he says he feels as safe as he did before all of this happened. So here is the poll. We said, do you get anxious about security around the anniversary of 9/11? A, yes, the U.S. could still be a target. B, no, security will be tight on that day. Or C, I feel as safe as I did before 9/11. So here's a snapshot of our Facebook page. About 6 comments so far. Jean says this happens every year as 9/11 approaches, and yes, I become a little anxious, mostly because of hearing so much publicity about it. And Barbara says it's been 10 years, and every year I get a little anxious, but when the news reports a possible terror plot all week long, she says, yes, I tend to get very anxious. And Valerie Viva says the same thing. She says, especially after hearing about terror threats on the news. And Kevin Oliver says, not generally doesn't get nervous, but this is the 10-year anniversary, and it does have him a little bit on edge. So some interesting comments from our viewers this morning. It's always divided somehow on the website, but we will see what happens in the poll at the end of the show. We'll reveal those answers then.